Good morning.
Even though I killed the ghost, there's still room to debate. It's either Jordan or LeBron who being labeled the great. If you hungry for the smoke, then come and get you a plate. Cause some rock with LBJ and some giving them hate. Haters tune into the show, cause we bout to get into it.
Jordan is the GOAT.
But now it's time to prove it.
Welcome back to the GOAT Debate. I am your host, Abaya Israel, with the two coaches, my co-hosts, Coach J.O. and Coach Scott. Listen, we're going to jump right in, man. We have a good show lined up for you today. Kind of a good but disappointing and frustrating all mixed up in one bundle, man. Just today, February 25th, we're looking at a little ruckus that took place in Atlanta. Coach J.O., in Atlanta today, man, we saw Cam Newton, and I don't know a lot about it because he hasn't gone on his show, 4th and 1, to, really go into detail of what happened yet. And this kind of just came across all about that. So we're still learning about what happened. But Cam Newton, 7-on-7 flag football tournament that he has in Atlanta, Georgia. Viral video, when I checked it last time on Twitter, is at 500,000 views. Viral video going around, and that was just on one of the videos. So it's tons of videos that's just going around. Cam Newton gets into a fight where it looks as though some of the participants in that 7-on-7 were trying to gang up on him, or, it seemed to be about 3 or 4 of them. And, Coach J.O., Cam is not a small guy. He's 6'5", like 240, 250. I don't know what this is all about, but it does disappoint me and frustrate me because he's trying to do something good, Coach Scott, for the community. And this is the repayment, Coach J.O., just says you're going home to do something good for your community. How do you respond to that? What do you do with that? Why does this even start?
This is a very unfortunate situation, right? And we all view Cam as a role model for the community, right? I know when he was in the league, a lot of the young kids looked up to Cam. They liked the new flair, the new school swag that he had. And every time I watch Cam, he's always trying to do something positive for the community, right? He's always trying to give back, trying to give knowledge. So I'm very, very, very eager to hear the details about the situation. How did this come about? Yeah. This is very, 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 very alarming, right? When you got kids, teenagers, because they look like teenagers, whether they're college students, high school students, middle school students, to put their hands on an adult. Okay, and we're not just talking about any adult. We're talking about the MVP of the National Football League, right? One of the best quarterbacks we've seen over the last 15, 20 years. Okay, something had to happen that I want details about. I want to know what could possibly have happened for these kids to feel like it's okay to put their hands on a full-grown man, not just any man, but Cam Newton.
Yeah, like you say, not just any man, Coach Scott. 6'5", 240, 250-pound Cam Newton. And we not say, oh, Cam just the baddest dude walking, but he ain't no little guy, And if you look at the guys in the video, all these little, like little ants jumping on, a giant piece of, I don't know, whatever, just a giant guy. That just doesn't. What did you think you were going to accomplish with that? You probably need about 3 or 4 more people. But even aside from that, it's just disappointing to see, Coach Scott. We see things like this happen. It's crazy. Why are athletes going home to try and help their community? Well, let me ask you this. Let me just try to change gears since that part just came out of my mouth. What do you think athletes will start to think when they start to see situations like this? I don't think this is the first time something like this or close to this has happened, but maybe the first time it's been caught on video. If this continues to happen, can we blame athletes if they start to say, you know what, why go back home? We see this happen in music industry all the time. Now it's happening in athletics. Coach Scott, what's your thoughts? You think they might start to change their mind on this type of thing?
Absolutely. Here in the Charlotte area, what we call the Queen City, at Bank of America Stadium, I tell you, we love Cam in good old North Carolina in the Queen City. And for him to be represented that way at home, when he's actually given a developmental lead for athletes to showcase their talent, that's sad. It's sad. And what parents have to do And what athletes have to do alike is they have to stay in their lane. And like Coach J.O. alluded to, kids, you have to stay in your lane. This is a chance for you to showcase your talent. This is a chance for you to get on a stage where your name may not have been ringing out, where you may not have been scouted, where you may not have film from your high school, but you go to a Cam Newton league where talent is going to be in the abundance, and you have a chance to showcase yourself, and now you've attached your name to something that's negative. This has to stop, because what happens from city to city, from state to state, is players that grow up in these impoverished areas, in these areas where we need help, where we want our face and our great athletes to come back and give back. They're going to say no. They're not going to attach their name and their brand to anything negative. And I'm getting to the point where I don't blame them.
Yeah. I mean, and what you say, you made a great point, because you think about it, like our city, me and Coach Scott, we're from the same place, Boynton Beach, Florida. And we had great talent down there, Coach Scott being one of them. But it wasn't like, back in the day, it wasn't a lot of eyes on Boynton Beach, South Florida in that particular area. But over time, we see great talent came up. Vince Wilfork, we all went to school together. Lamar Jackson, we all went to, well, he's younger than us, but he's from Boynton Beach as well, right? And now that city has a spotlight on it for talent at this point, right? Now,
Right.
like you say, you want that spotlight, but if you're doing these type of things to diminish, that spotlight from coming to your city, then how do you grow? How do you grow? Again, I don't want to waste a lot of time talking about that, but I thought it was really disappointing to see. First off, it shows the mental status of our children today, how our children actually think. Young men are willing to fight grown men, adults. Stay in your lane. This is showing what young adults are raising young children, and those young children oftentimes are not getting the proper education they need. Coach Shayo, go ahead. I see you threw the finger up. Let me pass it.
Yeah, and you're right. This is the thing, right? Let's just say Cam retaliated in a way that he's defending himself
Right.
like a grown man would for his life, right? A lot of people have a problem with that. Okay. Now, I know Cam may not remember Coach J.O., but I was on the field with Cam Newton, right? 2005, the Falcons held a 707 lead, right? Passing lead. This dude is humongous, man. This dude is humongous, all right? He's a giant. Compared to those kids, he's a giant, okay? If Cam really wanted to hurt somebody, he could.
Yeah.
Especially a child, right? But what does he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? And if he were to retaliate in a way that doesn't seem right, he punched the child in the eye, he knocked the child tooth out or something like that, what would we say? Will we hold him accountable for that?
They would try. Oh, Cam Newton. Headlines. Cam Newton knocks out a kid. Cam Newton punches a kid in the face. You're not going to get the 5, 10, 20 kids try to jump Cam Newton, right? And here's the scary part about that, because that's really putting him in a bad position, because I'm sure he probably thought about that. He's probably mind moving a million miles per hour, trying to think about, hey, if I do just grab one of these little guys and hurt one of them in self-defense, what are the headlines going to read? But at the same time, I run the risk. If I don't, I get hurt. Because they're young, but it's a lot of them, and a young person can still have the chance to hurt an older person. It's just the way it is. Coach Scott, I mean, do you disagree?
Absolutely not. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. And, not to continue to, become a echo chamber. Kids, Cam Newton, let me just say this. I know he does a lot of 7-on-7s. He travels around the country with these 7-on-7 leagues and stuff like that. Listen, this is an athlete that if you get a chance to be graced with his presence, he's accomplished everything that the game has seen.
Right.
He has a Heisman Trophy. He's won a national championship. He's run Rookie of the Year in the NFL. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's won the MVP of the NFL. He's accomplished what you're trying to glean from. Listen, get the information, and get better. All of the other stuff, let it go, guys.
Okay, well, there we have it, man. We've reached the end of this segment. We're going to move on to the next topic. Last week, we talked about Unc. Now, Unc might be like, man, you guys like 40 and 30, and you about as old as me. Keep calling me Unc. I'm just going off the nickname. You know what I mean? And we were talking about it, man. Like, you know, Shannon Sharpe, he's on such a level where, you know, you really have to be careful because everybody's gunning for you, right? And what I'm about to say, I'm actually guilty of this, you know, because, you know, I have a smaller following in different niches and genres, nowhere near as what Shannon Sharpe has. But sometimes you just don't know, and I know this from experience, when you have more than the average size following, you don't know who's shooting at you, right? You don't know. Somebody could really be trying to give you advice, and you may take that as a diss. For example, Mace, you know, him and Killer Cam, they're on their show, and you know they joke, they laugh, you know. But what Mace said concerning Shannon Sharpe, I don't think it was really an attack. You know, he's joking like, man, I'm not going to fight you. You know, come up if you want to. He's really joking with he's saying something that's true, but he's laughing with it. That's what they do. They laugh, they joke, you know. And I think Shannon took it the wrong way, and he responded negatively and called him a gangster pastor or something to that effect, some gangster whatever. And, you know, so Mace hears this and he actually responds as well, you know. But he asks a question like, you know, why is it, Shannon, that you keep responding this way to, you know, us? But when Skip said, put your glasses back on, you put your glasses back on. Like, what's going on with that situation? And you know what? Again, I'm a supporter of Shannon Sharpe. I think he's the greatest tight end to play football. But I must say, I think that was a valid question. I don't think Mace returned fire the way he could have, Coach Scott, but he did make a valid point. And again, in Shannon Sharpe's defense, maybe he thought Mace was coming for him. When everybody's just coming for you, kind of don't know. You're like, oh, my bad. Because I had to do that. I had to make public apologies before. My fault. I thought you were shooting for me. I misread what you were saying. All right. Maybe that's what's going on with Shannon and Mace. Maybe they can squash that. But as of right now, you know, Shannon saying, I'm not going to respond to anything else. You know, and then he shoots a little gangster pass to this while saying, I'm not going to respond. Like, you're responding. You got to stop. You guys, Coach Scott, you got to stop.
Listen, everybody has, you know, I would hope that people have uncles, right? And when he takes on that moniker, that title, Unc, right? We got to really look at what Unc is encompassing right now. You got your cool Unc, you got your crazy Unc, you got the Unc that, you know, he'll break you off a little money every now and again. And then you got an Unc that just can't get right. For some reason, I don't know why, he just can't get right. Mace literally took a different approach when he kind of came back in a very educated retort. He said, look, Unc, I respect you.
Right.
But when you dealt with Skip, these are the words he used. You had poise, you had respect, you had wherewithal, you had reverence, resolve, compassion. But with myself, with Mike Epps, with Ja Morant's father, you had smoke. What's going on? You gotta allow your success to be your success and allow people to get on your level. Don't go to their level, Unc. Be the Unc that we all respect and love. You a Big Mac, man. You don't have to get in the box with small fries.
You a Big Mac, you ain't about small fries. All right, yep, consider that stolen. Maybe that's old, but I just heard that one. I like that. and a lot of people now are starting to reach out. Eddie Griffin, even
Yeah,
Marcellus
yeah,
Wiley had his thoughts. It was nothing negative, but he was just sharing his thoughts. But why? Because it's becoming more. It's becoming just out there.
yeah.
So people are weighing in whether they're just hating, whether they just trying to give you some positive advice. I think everybody can see Coach JL and know Shannon is right. Some people are trying to catch on that ride and do what they got to do to go there with him. Some people are sitting back saying, "Hey, listen," like I think Marcellus Wiley was doing. Like, listen, man, I think this is what's happening, and we might want to heed those words. You're not on the same level right now. You're skyrocketing.
Right.
However you're carrying yourself to get there, understand. However you get, listen, America didn't become America without being America, right?
Right.
You
Right.
gotta do what you gotta do to get ahead sometimes. So Shannon, he's doing what he has to do, but sometimes that comes with some people following and hating and all the rest of that stuff. Coach JL, what's your thoughts?
As we all know, just like Mace said, right? He was being jovial. He's just joking around. He was talking
Yeah,
about, Shannon with the dips and the curls and everything. He was really giving Shannon like props. He was
prop.
telling like, Mike Epps don't want none with you, Shannon. He see you doing your dips, you big man. Come on. And Mace even gave Shannon some advice, right? He told Shannon, as a Disney client, gangster don't go with Disney.
At all.
Pull up, don't go with Disney.
At all.
Okay? So Shannon, be careful. Mace is even telling you, be careful. Protect your bag, dog. All right? The gangster, the pull-up talk, leave that to those guys. He's not saying you're a punk. He's not saying you're soft, Shannon. All he's saying is, dude, have some thicker skin. Have some thicker skin. But I guess from Shannon's perspective, he's like Birdman. Y'all got to put some respect on my name. That's how Shannon feeling, right? So again, allegedly, he had a talk with his sister, and he said he's not responding to anybody anymore. We're gonna see.
Well, that's what was stated. Again, I don't think everybody's really shooting for him. A lot are. Some are, should I say. Some just trying to hitchhike a ride. And some people
Right.
really, genuinely care. Like, we can see the success that you are going to. Don't let everybody pull it away from you. And again, shout out to Mace. I think he was actually, trying to give some knowledge, and he could have responded a completely different way. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
question, Coach Scott, and I think this is a factor in all this. The Cat Williams interview. Do you think that's actually hurting or helping Shannon Sharpe's career at this point? Because I think it's a double-edged sword, if you ask me.
Right.
It's
Right.
catapulting, but it's bringing some backlash at the same time.
Absolutely. One of the things you got to be very careful with is when you cut, you got to be very careful with doing the triage as you come back out. And I think that anytime you as a former athlete, especially a Shannon Sharpe type of athlete, a Hall of Famer, at best, you played in front of 100,000 people. At best, you have 1 million people at your disposal, just like that when you turn the computer on. You got to be careful. And I think Cat Williams gave him the notoriety. The show itself is just the platform. He's doing such a phenomenal job. The questions that he's asking, the guests that he's hosting. I mean, it is cutting edge, in my opinion, from a sit-in living room kind of show. But
Yeah.
he's gotta reel it in, and he's gotta understand that the 3 million followers that came and saw him to allow Cat Williams to sit on the couch and kind of communicate, those same 3 million people, they don't mind watching you fall. They don't mind watching you lose the bag. So you just got to be mindful in all aspects. As you cut, you got to go through and triage some things sometimes, and some things that he's gonna have to triage some things.
That'd be true. Well, listen, we're gonna go to the next topic. Unc, hope you hearing us.
We love you, Unc.
We really do.
For sure.
Ah, I don't know how. Hey, listen, Coach Scott, Coach Jo, if you ever wear some Air Abayas and you talk about me, take my shoes off your feet. You understand what I'm saying? You can't wear my shoes and talk about me. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
But we've seen that. We see Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, and Luke Longley. By the way, who I'm an all-time fan of. You know, I don't throw dirt on them, but I don't like throw. I'm gonna be honest though. I'm gonna shoot it down the middle. I'm gonna be honest. Um, Man, I'm a Bulls fan. Y'all know that. You know, I think MJ's the GOAT. I'm a Bulls fan. I think Scottie Pippen is one of the all-time greatest players ever. And I can agree with if had he not been on the team with Mike, I don't know where, the legacy might, be at this point. Because I think, he was just that. But let's just be honest. That was Mike's team. Okay.
Right.
Not saying that he couldn't go anywhere else and be the guy. Of course we could see Pippen could be the guy. That was Mike's team. I'm gonna have to agree with Gilbert Arenas on this one. The whole No Bull tour that started in Australia, Coach Jo, with Scottie Pippen, with Horace Grant, and with Luke Longley, I think it is bull. I was gonna be honest with you. I think it's BS because we're looking at a situation where, all right, I'm going to tell my side of the story. All right, I wasn't portrayed properly. Okay, I get it. But I agree with Gilbert when he said, you wasn't complaining when you was winning those rings.
yep. Right.
That was no complaints winning those rings.
Right.
Scottie, on one hand, I can see there's some things going on there. There's some family things going on and all types of stuff happening, right? I can kind of at least I'm trying to understand. Horace Grant was a little more vocal from the start, some things about him he said he didn't like. But honestly, I think it's going to be a disservice to do the whole thing. Now, people saying, well, like, especially the guys I know, like, oh, you scared stuff gonna come out about your GOAT? Listen, let me just be 100% honest with y'all. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I probably shouldn't say this live or on this recording, but I'm gonna be 100% honest. I believe Jordan's a butthole. Keep it 1,000 with you. I think he's a butthole. Again, you don't get to the top being Mr. Nice Guy. So off the court, he might be a butthole, but that butthole did what he had to do to win. Now to come out and complain about a butthole being a butthole, but this butthole got my career got me in the status where I'm all-time legendary. I think it's a little petty to me, Coach J, what's your thoughts? I think it's petty.
Oh, it's definitely petty. Definitely petty. Right. And it's good that those guys are on Australian soil talking about this because you're not coming to America on a tour talking about MJ. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be received well. Michael Jordan is probably the closest thing to MJ, Michael Jackson. Okay. Those guys are the top of the top of the top. Okay. So stay in Australia on your No Bull tour because you're not going to get any clout in America. All right. There may be a few, LeBron James fans that may want to hear some stuff about Jordan. But just like Gilbert said, where was this energy when you was winning 6 championships? Luke Longley, where was this energy when you were winning those 3 championships? Horace Grant, where was this energy when you was winning your 3 championships? When Jordan helped you get these contracts, when Jordan helped you get the contracts, Scottie, come on, where was this energy then? Okay, and it was reported that Scottie saw The Last Dance before it came out. All right, so you didn't approve of it then? Like, where does this energy come from? Where does it come from? And one more thing, right? And I heard Gilbert point this out as well. With Scottie, Horace Grant, and Luke going on this tour, what does this mean for ring culture, right? Yeah. Everything is about ring, 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 ring. And you got people who won 6 rings and now complaining about their role winning 6 rings. So are the rings really that important? What is that going to mean moving forward?
That's a good question because it's 12 rings between them all. 6 from Scottie, 3 with Horace, and 3 with Luke. So that's 12 rings total. Coach Scott. Now, since we talk about Gilbert, I don't always agree with Gilbert Arenas. I don't know anybody who always agrees with Gilbert Arenas. He says some stuff sometimes. I don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
he makes some valid points sometimes too, right? You know. So when he said about the what was it, 300 million? I'll take the 300 million over like 6 or 7 championships. Everybody kind of came down. What? Over championships? No, not me. Listen, that was one thing I agree with Gilbert Arenas over. And I ain't saying it because I'm broke. I mean, I could be 100 million, 100. What do they call 100 millionaire? I could be that right now. But if you offer me 300 more million over, 3 rings, I would have took it too. Come on, let's just be real. Let's just be real. Now he's looking like, okay, well, shoot. Hey, we don't always agree with Gilbert. He might be a genius. Like he might know some things we just not seeing right now. Go Scott, weigh in.
Hey man, a broke clock is right twice a day. Believe that. You gotta know that. You just gotta trust that broke clock twice a day. It don't even do nothing. It's gonna be right, right? This is a broken marriage, man. I think that when you're on the success ride, when you're on the success train, most people they sit back and they kind of eat their humble pie and they just take it. But I think there's been rumblings the whole time. There were rumblings when Steve Kerr got slapped in practice, right?
No, he got punched.
He got punched.
He got dotted.
I was trying to soften the blow, but hey, man, it was rumblings then, but it got hushed because it was Mike. It's things where athletes, there are things that they should never divulge. Anything that happens in that locker room, anything that happens within the unity of that brotherhood, between the lines, I got you. That's the moniker. That's what I've grew up in the games that I've played. That was the rule. Between the lines, I got you. Whatever information we divulge, whatever we talk about, whatever we do as a team, hey man, that's the brotherhood. That's what we got going. But I think that this is a broken marriage. I think that these guys are, they had things to say when they were playing, and they just never got a chance to say it. And I think that the narration of the Last Dance, I think that it was narrated more towards the Michael narrative, and they're like, well, damn, we ain't played basketball with this man in over 10 years, 20 years. Why does he still get the chance to narrate everything? I want my voice. And I think that that's what that's where it stems. But at the same time, listen, let's be honest. This is the GOAT debate show where we talk about real things and real issues. Let's be honest. Michael Jordan's son married Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. Let's be real.
I wasn't gonna say it.
I said it. Let's be real for a second. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be on the tour and I'm gonna be talking more than anybody. Yeah, that's gonna be this guy. That's gonna be me. I would have issues with that.
Yeah.
So Mike can't sit in the ivory tower and just feel like there won't be any type of backlash that comes from the career that he had, the career that he had to do some things to be Mike. Just like Kobe, he had to do some things to be Kobe. Like you said, all great players have to draw the line in the sand where they divide good from great. And it's a clear distinction between Michael and everybody else that played in the league. It's a clear distinction between Michael and the rest of the Bulls. But let's be fair. What happened in Scottie Pippen's case? That's a little rough. It's a little rough.
It is. And again, that's my thought. There was someone, it was TMZ, I believe, they asked Michael Jordan, hey, do you approve of your son, marrying Scottie Pippen's ex-wife? He says no. The question arose from that, was it a sarcastic no? Did he really mean no? But hey, he said no, I don't approve, right? Every time Michael Jordan speaks, he lets it be known, without Mike, without Pippen, ain't no Mike. In the sense of, I don't get 6 championships with no losses without Pippen. And we know that. I think the biggest Michael Jordan fan on the planet understands that. That's no thing. Now, we understand that the LeBron fans are trying to run this narrative that Jordan was garbage and Pippen led the team. No, that wasn't the case. Jordan was Jordan, and Pippen was the guy who helped him get to that championship along with the rest of the team. He never said one negative word about Pippen. At least I've never heard him say anything negative about Pippen. One thing that I've noticed about this entire thing, though, out of all of what's being said from Scottie, there's never been a response from Mike. He's never said
Right.
anything negative about Scottie once.
Mm.
He's probably like, I ain't gonna talk to you no more. But he's never once said anything negative. He's not come out publicly and, I'm going to defend my name or any of that. He just, okay, whatever. I'm not going to respond to the negativity, Coach J.O. I'm yet to see it. And Horace Grant, I'm not surprised by on this one because I kind of understood that there was a little between him and Mike. And, if out of everybody, I could say, all right, Horace Grant, I can understand, right? Let Horace Grant, do his thing. Let him, hey, I want to speak my mind by all means. I heard an interview on the radio when he was talking about Mike after the last dance. He made it clear. Luke Longley, Coach J.O., I'm puzzled. I'm really puzzled. I'm puzzled on this one. Luke, what are you complaining about? Luke, you don't get no championships on no other team. Luke, you probably don't even start on another team. Luke, what are you, Coach J.O., please? Coach J.O., please tell me what Luke Longley. I need you to make sure understand what I'm saying. I ain't saying Scottie Pippen. I ain't saying Horace Grant. Tell me what Luke Longley is complaining about, Coach. What the world?
Y'all gets better than mine. Y'all gets better than mine, man. I have no idea. Luke Longley remind me of the guy or the girl that when a lawsuit coming on, let's just say a company getting sued by its employees and Luke the last one in line. Me. I got hey me. Come on, Luke. You got to stop it, man. But let me say this about Scottie. And Scottie has to be careful. Just like I tell you all the time that LeBron James has his minions and his soldiers, Michael Jordan has his too, Pippen. You better be careful because your career will start to be dissected. I'm telling you, people let you buy right now, Pippen. People let you buy. People don't really dissect your career. They don't look into your career. They don't do it. Be careful. Be careful. You walk in a very, very thin line.
Wait,
be careful.
What if they do dissect Pippen's career? What they gonna find? Pippen's all-time great.
Yeah, all-time great role player. Okay? He's not viewed as that. He's not viewed as that.
This is the same man that called Scottie Pippen backpack.
I forgot.
I remember that show. I remember that show. You gotta remember that show.
Yeah. I don't know where you got that from. But I remember that. So, okay. No, but I get the point that you're making, though, Coach J.O. You're absolutely right. When you start putting yourself in that spotlight, that's like we finished talking about Shannon. You're in that spotlight, people look, Right. If you say, hey, look at me, guess what people do? They look at you.
Yes,
that being said, man, we're going to move on to the next topic. Speaking of Scottie Pippen, LeBron James made the statement, if it was him, he said, if it was me by his side, referring to Michael Jordan, they would have won a lot more. It would have been so much better. It would have been so much greater. Maybe, Coach Scott, maybe. I don't know, because like what Coach J.O. pointed out last week, not one, not two, not three. You made these promises before. So would you have been a better player to play along with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen? Because I feel like at the time, Scottie Pippen was the perfect fit for Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the perfect fit for Scottie Pippen. LeBron James is a facilitator. Maybe he can. I don't know. Maybe 3, 4. Do they go 6-0? It depends on LeBron James's mindset. I think LeBron James is the most dominant player we've seen in a long time. But he can also be the most reserved, depending on the situation. How you feeling? Coach Scott, thoughts? If LeBron James is in place of Scottie Pippen, do they win more than 6 rings? Do they win not 1, not 2, not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 20 rings, as he stated? What do you think?
I think that LeBron James, he made a bad statement. I think that he's and again, he's my 1B. I'm not backing down off of that. He's my 1B. I'm 10 toes down on that. But I think it was just the excitement of kind of understanding who he is in our game today, being able to pair up with the Michael Jordan of that day. I think that Mike would have brought something out of him. I think Mike could have taught him a lot more things
Good
about the
point.
game that could have made LeBron James be even more of a celestial as it pertains to the game of basketball. But as it pertains to a duo like Scottie and Mike, I don't think that pair should ever be not spoken about in the same sentence. LeBron James did himself a disservice with that. And that's a LeBron James fan saying that. I think he did himself a disservice with that statement. What he would have learned, how much better he could have been. Those are things that obviously we would never, we could just only hope to have seen something like that. But I definitely feel like, they would have had a chance to kind of, if Mike wouldn't have retired, they could have won more rings, So that's where I kind of say, a bad statement, but I get what he was. I feel like I get what he was trying to portray in that statement, but bad statement nonetheless. You never take Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan out of the same sentence as it pertains to the duo that is all-time great. That's my opinion.
And Coach Scott, you're absolutely right. That duo, you can never split that duo apart. I get what LeBron James is saying, but Coach J.O., check this out. I think by him saying, man, if it was me and Jordan, I would have been a better Pippen. It's almost what Coach Scott said last week, Magic did with Michael Jordan, is relinquishing the chase. And people are going to start to look at that statement and be like, wait, what do you mean? Why are you saying wait, I thought you was chasing the ghost. I thought you was trying to be the GOAT. That sounds like you have given up and said, hey, okay, well, I would have been good. I would have been a good Pippen. I would have been, an all-time great. Okay, I give up. I can't catch Jordan. Let me just get some more stats, but I would have done this. It almost sounds like, Coach J.O., that he has understood within himself that I'm not going to catch MJ. What are your thoughts?
In that interview, LeBron stated that he felt like his best assets would work perfectly with MJ, right? Can we kill the notion that LeBron is this mixture of Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan? Because he's not. He's not, right? He's more so Karl Malone mixed with Scottie Pippen. Okay, so he's on point with that. He's on point with that.
Yeah.
Okay, but what he fails to acknowledge is this: you're not going to be playing in the LeBron James system. You will be playing in the triangle offense. Okay, LeBron James is a 7 assists per game player for his career. There's only one player under Phil Jackson that averaged 7 assists in a season. Okay, that's Scottie Pippen. He did that once in the 91-92 season. The triangle offense isn't a ball-dominant offense. LeBron, you cannot monopolize the ball. Okay, it's a ball movement offense. So you won't rack up assists the way that you think you would. Okay, you will not do that. So LeBron has to understand that. And can we also kill the narrative that LeBron James is this pass-first player? Because he's not. How can you average 19 shot attempts per game for your career and be a pass-first player? Those two don't go together. He wants to come off as this pass-first player because I think that even though he's the all-time scoring leader, he's still insecure in his scoring abilities, in my opinion. So he wants to come off as this pass-first guy, and he's not. And playing with Michael Jordan, you would not rack up the assists that you think you would. Playing on the Phil Jackson, you wouldn't rack up the assists that you think you would. So thinking that you would be a better tandem for Michael than Pippen, I don't necessarily know about that. You would probably be the same or a lesser version of him.
Oh, wow. Now, listen, Coach J.O. be bringing out some Coach Scott's face. I think Coach J.O. bring out some excellent points. I never thought about the mix between Karl Malone and Scottie Pippen, and it sounds accurate to me because Karl Malone, he was a scoring power forward. What is he like? Number 3 all time, number 4 all time scoring leader. He's a scoring power forward. and to mix, he's a big guy as well, like LeBron James, and then but you're mixing in that Scottie Pippen, the facilitator. That makes sense to me, Coach Scott. I see your face over there. I need the temperature gauge with you as well sometimes over there,
Yeah,
but that
yeah,
makes sense to
Yeah.
me. He's
Yeah.
instead of
No.
saying Magic and Jordan, because I don't think, and as Coach Ayo just said, he's the all-time leading scorer, but I don't think he's a scorer. It's longevity. But he's not a scorer like Jordan. More so like Pippen and Malone.
Okay. Can we it's a couple things that Coach Jo said, and we just got to kill a couple more narratives, right? In the game of basketball, true enough, the system would be different, which I agree with. The triangle offense is a definitely different facilitated offense, more so than what LeBron James actually gets the chance to actually maneuver now. But let's just look from a slashing standpoint and points in the paint. Michael Jordan does not best LeBron James. From three, Michael Jordan does not best LeBron James. These are stats that you can Google, right? This is Googleable information. Ball movement. Yes, the ball would move, but LeBron James would touch the ball. And based on his ability to see the court, his basketball IQ, and his ability to pass, yeah, he would probably have more assists in that offense than the average player. Let's look at it. When we talk about the best small forwards, power forwards in the game, you're talking about a Larry Bird, you're talking about a Kawhi Leonard, you're talking about a Paul George, Julius Erving, Elgin Baylor, Scottie Pippen, Dominique Wilkins, Carmelo Anthony, Paul Pierce. But none of these guys, let me add who you said, Karl Malone. Wow. None of these guys, they move like LeBron James. None of these guys pass like LeBron James. None of these guys score like LeBron James. None of these guys are 6'9", 260, and can run the court like a deer. None of those guys could. None of those guys could, and none of those guys did within their career. Not for 20 years. Not for 15 years.
Well, I think when we say none of those guys, like for example, Larry Bird, I think he can score easily and dish the ball easily. Will he play defense like LeBron? Probably not. Will he run as fast as LeBron? Probably not. So the things that you're naming collectively, unless you're talking about collectively all together in one package, I would agree.
Absolutely.
But there are
Absolutely.
players that would do those things. I got to say too, Coach Ayo, I hear the stats that Coach Scott just brought out, but I think context goes with those stats as well, especially the slashing in the paint, because we had different rules back then, different ways of playing defense. Also,
True. True.
who's the all-time shot percentage leader in NBA history? DeAndre Jordan, right? It's like
right.
it's very high shot percentage, right? But why
Right.
though? Because all of his shots was
Dunk
right
the
around
ball,
the
dunk the
basket.
ball, dunk the ball
But
100 million
it's
times.
context with it,
Right.
right? It's not like he was jacking them up from half court, just making them the all-time shot percentage leader or something. But it's context with it. So I can agree with what Coach Scott saying, Jo. I think me personally, there's a little more context to go with it. You have a response?
Like I said, he could talk about the facilitating part, but what about the defense part? Okay, we're gonna throw Pippen away. Then who's gonna be guarding then? Who?
We still have to realize LeBron James did play defense. This is you self-admittedly said this. And these are the things that would have made LeBron better playing with a Michael Jordan. Where you say LeBron James is probably not as quote unquote secure with his scoring. He didn't need to be. He wouldn't have needed to be to win games like he is been called upon for the last 20 plus years. He could have let Michael Jordan be Michael Jordan and focus on another part of the game. Does that make sense?
I mean, I guess, but
Wow.
listen. This is the point. I guess it does. But when I've actually watched LeBron James play defense, then that's different, right? I've actually seen him play defense, right? He's not the defender that, hey, go guard. I know people like to say, well, he guarded Derrick Rose and he guarded Tony Parker, so on and so forth. He did that on special occasions, all right? At the end of a game where it's one possession left or two possessions left, and he get them down the stretch. For a whole playoff series, okay? No, he's not going to guard a Magic Johnson for a whole playoff series. He's not going to guard Isaiah Thomas for a whole playoff series. He's not going to do it.
Why wouldn't he?
He's not guarding. He's not guarding because he can't.
This
because
is
he can't.
This is the narrative that Michael Jordan fans continue to push. Listen, when you talk about a holistic player that can give you everything from minutes to rebounds to assists to scoring to facilitation to everything you need on a basketball court. For the past 21 years, there is no player better in the NBA, period. There's no player even close to LeBron James. And this is why he's the 1B GOAT, because it's something that we've seen now, but when he's done, trust me, we're not going to see that again. We're not going to see it again. Not at the level at which he does it. Giannis, he would be considered what you call the face of the NBA right now, right? He's the guy. He's the man, right? He's the most dominant player. Just be honest. Yeah.
I mean, I guess. I mean, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm asking a question because you might not feel like Giannis is. I think that you feel like Giannis at this point in time in his career is probably the most dominant, most kind of acclaimed player right now.
Well, I would say that he's probably or arguably the best, but not the face. He's not the face of the NBA.
Okay.
No.
Well, for his 11 seasons, 12 seasons that he's been with the Milwaukee Bucks, does his average in any major category best LeBron James?
In the last 11 seasons?
In his 11 to 12 seasons that he's been with the Bucks, over LeBron James's 21-year career, do his stats on an average best LeBron James stats?
Probably his field goal percentage and rebounds.
No.
Okay. We'll have to look that up, Coach.
All right. I have them right here for you. I have them right here. That's 23, 9 and 4. 23, 9 and 4. You're talking about 25, well, 27 now, 27, 7 and 7.
Ain't 9 more than 7?
I'm sorry?
Isn't 9 more than 7?
9 is more than 7, correct. But I'm talking about, is 7 not more than 4? Is 25 is 27 not more than 23?
Is it 9 more than 7? You said 1. I gave you 1.
Okay, you gave me 1. All right. So you would take those 2 more rebounds over a total LeBron James output
over the last 4 or 5 years, yes. I would.
Coach.
Well, I think it all depends on context goes with everything. I think it all depends on the team. Just like we talked about last week, we're talking about our top 5s. And I explained, I don't think the top 5 greatest player may play well together. Giannis may have a situation where he does play better than LeBron. I can see LeBron in the same situation. That's left up for debate, though. Moving on to our sports news. Next topic. All right. So the college football committee has given us the new rules. They said we're no longer going to, I can't say that, crap on Florida State. We're going to go to a 12-team system. And the rules were put out. Let me read these really quickly. The four highest conference champions, 4 highest ranked conference champions will have a first round bye week. All right. Teams 5 through 12, the 5th conference champion plus the others, 5 through 12, they will play each other in the first round. The 5th rank will host 12. Number 6 will host number 11. Number 7 will play 10, and 8 will play 9. The quarterfinals and the semifinals will be played in the New Year's 6 bowl games, which I love the bowl games. The national championship will still remain on a neutral site, which I think is 100% fair. Is the system perfect? Probably not. But should the system have been implemented last year or from the start? Probably so. Because if it was, we wouldn't have the craziness that we saw last year. People are still talking about this. Coaches are still talking about this. The sad part about it is that was an injustice. That was a black guy on the college football arena, and it will fade over time. But guess who it will not fade for ever? And that's Florida State. All of those players who only returned to play for a national championship, who only said, we're coming back and not going to the NFL. We're going to risk injury and not go take the money now, come back so we can play for a championship, Coach J.O. And then just to get cheated, because it was nothing less than being cheated at the end. Come on now. So, but with these new rules, Coach, what are your thoughts? I do think they made some improvements, but I also think it's not perfect. What are your thoughts?
You asking me or Coach Scott?
Coach J.O., you sir.
Oh, okay, great. I like it, right? I like it. I think it's definitely better than the last system. Do I think it's perfect? No, of course it's not perfect. What I do like about it though, the most, it kind of models the NFL, right?
Mhm.
The 12 teams get in, you got your wild card type thing.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that. But this is the thing, right? There's always holes. There's always holes.
Yeah.
What happens, right, when you have a number 12 ranked team and they just get hot? What happens with that? And they end up in the national championship. Do we say that they deserve to be there? And they may be a 3-loss team, maybe even a 4-loss team. Who knows? What happens? Are we complaining then and saying, hey, they shouldn't be there. They lost 3 games. Okay. And you might have a Georgia or Alabama that lost 1 game and gets put out in the first round. You know, if both of them are because only one conference champion gets to make it. So we also know that Alabama and Georgia going to be competing every year with each other, right? So let's just say that it's an Alabama team that loses 1 game. And it's I don't know, a Boise State that happens to lose 4 games and be in there. I mean, what are we going to say then? What are we going to say? It's always holes. It's always glitches. Nothing's perfect, but it is good though. I do like it. I do like it, right?
Yeah.
And I got a question for you, Coach Scott, and you, Abaya. I see that the first round games happen on December the 20th, and we talk about home field advantage. Aren't the students going to be gone there? All the students going to be gone.
Yes.
All the students going to be on Christmas break. So is that a factor?
It could play. It could be a factor. Yeah, that could play into it.
So what we say about that as well?
That's actually a good point, Coach Scott. I'll pass the ball to you. I was a good point that I didn't think about. That could definitely be a factor. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot of students. If my school's in there, I'm going to go to the game to represent. But maybe everybody can't make it back or can't make it. That's a good question.
Okay. I definitely think that was a great point, Coach J.O. The SEC, the best team is going to get the bye. So the SEC is still going to be fully represented as long as the rest of the teams do what they're supposed to do, right? Now, you make a statement like a number 12 team, they get hot and they run the gauntlet and they win the national championship and they have 3 losses. If a number 12 team gets hot and they run the gauntlet, they're supposed to win. That's the name of the game. That's how it's supposed to work. The best teams peak at the right time, and that's coaching. Coaches prime their teams throughout the season. They primed them in the weight room, they primed them on the field of play, and they primed them in practice week in, week out to peak at the right times. And when you look at the best teams in the country, they're peaking at the right times. You look at Georgia early in the season, they look scary. They look like, well, Georgia doesn't look the same. And then in the middle of the season, it's like, oh, there's Georgia. You look at Alabama. They play these smaller schools to refine the craft, to get the kinks out, to get the bugs out. And then there's Alabama. You look at an Ole Miss. You look at a Texas A&M. These are schools that do it month in, month out, year in, year out. So this just comes down to coaching as it pertains to the best teams peaking at the right time. To me, a team like Ole Miss that missed out on the playoffs, a team like Florida State that probably would have did something different had they had the chance to play in a national championship. These teams get a chance to now show where they're peaking at the right time. And that's the thing I love. As it pertains to students not being on campus, this is going to bring a lot of new revenue to these college campuses, because people that actually are in these cities, that people that are in these towns that don't have a chance to historically afford a chance to go to these games, now they're going to get a chance to actually support their schools, support their communities, and go to these games. And the kids that love their school, that hold up that mascot's banner,
Right.
they're going to get a chance to go back and support their schools in these big bowl games as well.
Exactly. And talking about, peaking at the right time, who's a good example? The Seattle Seahawks. They were a wild card. They won the Super Bowl. They were like, they had lost, 4 games, 5 games that year. They went on to win the Super Bowl. The New York Giants, when they beat the Patriots the first time, they played them the last game of the season. They lost that game. Remember, they lost that game. And the Giants were like, they celebrated as if they won. And I understood why they were celebrating, because they stated, because that was an awesome Patriots team. That was an awesome Patriots team, right? They celebrated because they stated, if we played them again, we can beat them. They were confident. And lo and behold, they met them again. And it went down to the wire, but they beat them. And so that I understand what Coach Scott is saying about that peak. And I understand what you're saying also, Coach JL. You might have a 5-loss team that just won the national championship, and Alabama and Georgia and Florida State or somebody all sitting there with 1 loss, and they're not national champions. So it's not a perfect system. I, for one, think instead of the top 4 conference champions, it should be the top 5 and the number 6. Whoever's the best in line out of whatever conference, number 6 should be that wild card, and they all get the first round. I think it should be. We can all play with it, however, but I am happy to see that they have made some adjustments, because again, last year was horrible.
Absolutely, I agree.
But do y'all think that they're also creating this this thing for a possible load management game or games? Okay, think about it like this, right? You have these teams that know, okay, the conference champion has an automatic bye. So let's breeze through. It may be week 1, week 2. It may be a game that they may say, oh, we're going to take our foot off the gas. We know we can get it on the back end. What about that? Again, I like this system better than I like the last system. But what I don't like about the game now is, at one time, every Saturday mattered.
Yeah.
Every
true.
Thursday night mattered. If it was a game on Friday, it mattered. All of that matters. Right now, we leaving it open. To take a week off or take 2 weeks off, because we know we could get it in the back end, or we know that we could possibly be a top 12 team.
Yeah.
We're creating that now.
That makes sense. Those were the awesome college football days when every single game was the national championship. Like, I got to win this one, because if you lose that game, it's a strong possibility that you're not getting to a national championship. So I agree. We'll see what's left to be. We got to move on to the next segment. We're going to the next one. Is Stephen A. Smith and Dan Levitard. Coach Scott, I'm going to bring it to you. So Dan Levitard, and it's just something I want to ask you guys about. He said something that I think was extremely unfair. First off, I think, Stephen A., if you like him, love him, hate him, whatever, however you stand, however you feel. I do think it was unfair for him to blame Stephen A. for today's journalism, right? For today's entertainment within the sporting coverage arena. But he said something that I was like, really? He made a statement as if you don't have any journalism background, you pretty much don't have any business trying to cover sports. And he said, Stephen A., you open up the floodgates for these guys who don't really have any journalism background for them to come in. And well, why not? So what about the NFL players? What about the NBA players who are now retiring and they want to talk about the game? Are they not more qualified than you, even though you have a journalism background? Right? What about the fans who want to talk about the game? What about those who played college football in high school and at high levels and had the chance to go pro? Maybe got injured, whatever the case may be. But they do have sports experience. Coach Scott, are they not qualified to talk? Do you have to have some type of journalism background to talk? This is why I think Dan Le Batard just derailed at this point. It made no sense to me.
Yeah, Dan Le Batard should, for things that, he should have just be quiet. Let me tell you, first, Stuart Scott, the late Stuart Scott, is the reason we have what we have today as it pertains to ESPN and these analysts really giving us the real live back behind the scenes, what you really want to hear as the game is played. Let me tell you that first and foremost.
Shout out.
So for him to lay that at Stuart A. Smith's feet, that's crazy. That is absolutely insane. That's first and foremost. Second, and that's poor journalism on his part.
Yeah.
People that have acumen in the sport that they're actually talking about, the people that are the greats that are retiring, like you said, they should have the first right of refusal to be able to speak about the game that they've played, that they've been successful at, and that they love. And the fans should have the ability to listen to them because they have a professional understanding of what's going on. They don't look at the game like an average fan. They're not just watching the ball go up and down the court. They're looking at the sets. They're looking at the people that are standing at the box, who's about to come into the game, who's the sixth man, who's the eighth man. They're looking at the defenses that are being played. They're looking at the role players. They're looking at the game as it unfolds. And these journalists, they're getting upset because they go to these cutesy schools, they sit in class, they probably break 2 or 3 pencils throughout the semester, and then they say, I have a journalism degree, I'm supposed to be on ESPN, I'm supposed to be working for Disney, and they're taking our jobs, and that's just not fair.
Yeah, Coach J.O., what it reminds me of is, remember back in the day when no one could build a website if you didn't know how to code, right? But as time progresses, something like Wix pops up. now you can just go and get you a Wix account, drag and drop. You know how to do it. Now those coders are like, what do they say? This guy's not true website builders. Well, the website looks pretty good. The design looks pretty nice. It saved me time. It saved me money. You're no longer able to charge me $5,000 for this website because I can go do it for myself right now, drag and drop, and I can pay $15 a month through Wix. What is that called? It's called you have to move with the flow. You got to keep up with the progression of time. All right. Like first time I heard the term, I think it was from Draymond Green, the new media. There's a new media out there, and I think it should come from every aspect. First and foremost, the athletes themselves, right? Now, the guys who are covering the sports like Stephen A. and guys like that, of course, their aspect, they do a great job at it. But let's not shut the door on the athletes. Not saying that's what he does because obviously he got Shannon, Sharpe, and some other guys, so he definitely opens the door to that. So it should come from every aspect. You got the guys covering it with journalism degrees. You got the athletes. You have the fans. You have all type of channels all across YouTube, and they are actually pretty good. So for Dan Le Batard to say that, it really just threw me off, Coach J.O. And I was like, you know what? That was a very arrogant statement to make, if you ask me.
Very pompous.
I have different opinions on that, right? I just do. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he makes a point, but he makes this point, and he makes this point, right? And this is not a slight at Stephen A. Smith whatsoever, because this kind of reminds me of the league blaming Steph Curry for the evolution of basketball today. Steph Curry isn't Steph Curry isn't the problem. The people trying to be like Steph Curry and haven't put in the work as Steph Curry is the problem. That's the same thing
Right.
that's going on right now.
Right.
Okay. You got people trying to be Stephen A. Smith that don't have the background as Stephen A. Smith, right? Okay. Now, this goes to the players. They talk crap all the time to the Skip Baylesses of the world, to the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, to the Nick Wrights of the world, to the Chris Broussards of the world, that y'all can't do what we do. You can't do what we do. So, hey, the journalists are saying to the athletes now, y'all can't do what we do. Okay? You don't have the background that we have. You don't have the knowledge that we have. You don't have the education that we have. Now, I think you'll agree with this, Coach Scott. Just because you played the game doesn't mean that you can coach the game.
Correct.
Okay? It's a lot of people who feel like, oh, I just played the game, so I'm able to coach it, right? No, you can't, all right? And there are some athletes, right, who can be able to tell the story better than maybe we can, or the Chris Broussards and the Stephen A. Smiths of the world. That may be true. But when it comes to journalism, they don't know that field. They don't, unless they get educated in that field. They don't know it, right? They just get up there and feel like, okay, I played the game, so I can get up there and talk about the game. No, you cannot. You are in a different realm now. You are in the realm of journalism, all right? Now, also, Dan Le Batard's point was, y'all mixing up, your journalism fails at the need for your argument to be entertaining or entertainment, right? Come on. He makes a point. He makes a point, because all journalism does get thrown out the door when it's time to be entertaining. He does have a point. So I disagree with y'all on that. Dan Le Batard does have a point. He makes a great point. And also Stephen A. Smith made a great point as well. It's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. Stephen A. Smith has done the job. He has done the work, and he deserves to be in the spot that he's in.
But Coach Scott, here's where I disagree with Coach J.O., right? Because, again, progression of time, right? Progression of time. J.J. Redick was recently talking about educating the fans on basketball. And the viewership for that type of content was lower than the viewership when he criticized Doc Rivers. That had 400, 500,000 views. Why, though? Okay, reason being is because time has progressed. Social media has taken over. It is an entertainment-driven society. We can't get mad because of the career field that we're in has faded or is fading. You have to just learn to keep up with the time. You know, if we were still rolling around here with stone wheels, you know, in 2024, that would be different. But no, we have 24, 26-inch rims now on rubber tires because the progression of time. And the point that I think that's being made is with Dan Le Batard, Coach Scott, is that I understood what he was trying to say, although it was, I think, probably a tad bit insulting to a lot of people, especially the athlete. But the point is, hey, Dan, it's 2024. Can you imagine what 2028 or 2029, 2030 is going to look like? So instead of complaining about it's being destroyed, like with the NBA, Steph Curry, hey, well, yeah, a lot of people are trying to go out. And Coach J.O., you said something very key. I don't blame Steph Curry for, shooting his threes. I blame those who came behind Steph Curry without preparing themselves. So what if the athletes, Coach, they are preparing themselves? What if the fans are preparing themselves? What if they are preparing and they really are jumping out there? Then what? Dan Le Batard, do they not have a right or a voice to cover because you don't like it, Coach Scott?
Well, you touched on a plethora of points that I was just about to ask Coach J.O. Hey, does Dan Le Batard, does he have that same energy for Nick Saban? Does he have that same energy for Bill Belichick? Because if you have not noticed, Nick Saban will be the analyst for CBS SEC football. That's what's going to happen. Bill Belichick will be an analyst. If he doesn't get picked up as a head coach, he will be an analyst for the NFL. Does he have the same energy? Does he have the same energy that people don't buy newspapers at the rate that they bought newspapers 25 years ago? Because everybody reads the newspaper. If they're reading newspaper or reading any type of article, they're reading it on their computers, their laptops, or their iPads. Does he have that same energy? He needs to do what a lot of people call, in this scenario, he needs to be quiet, because it's so many different mediums for people to gain access to information. If he wants it just to be journalist content for journalists speaking about the game, he needs to create a journalist podcast or a journalist YouTube page and see how well it does.
Let me pose the question to you. Do the athletes keep the same energy with Bill Belichick? Do they keep the same energy with Nick Saban? Do they keep the same energy with Greg Popovich? Do they keep the same energy with Eric Spoelstra? None of these guys played in the league. They tell the journalists all the time. They tell the average fan all the time. None of y'all played in the league, so you're not worthy to talk about it.
Okay.
So do they keep the same energy with them? No, they do not.
Well,
remember.
I thought you asked me the question first. So I was going to answer, but I did ask you first, and you never answered my question. So I'll answer your question in retort. These athletes 100% do. Did you hear the welcome reception that Giannis gave Doc Rivers 10 games prior to, 11 games prior to? Doc Rivers was doing exactly what you're talking about right now. He was an analyst. He was talking about basketball. He was talking about basketball.
Played in the league, though. Doc Rivers played in the league.
Okay.
So that's different.
But did he get a journalist degree?
No, but he played in the league, so the players would give Doc a pass, right? They would give Doc a pass because he played in the league.
Okay. So again, Nick Saban. Are you telling me players are not going to listen to Nick Saban when he gives?
No, commentary? That's the point. That's the point I'm making. He didn't play in the league, so why they listening to him? Because they would tell the regular journalists.
Because he has the acumen to explain exactly what's going on. He has the acumen to explain exactly what's happening quarter after quarter, half after half. He has the acumen to explain this. Well, and anybody that would juxtapose a Nick Saban, people would go, well, where are your national championships?
Right. Coach J.O., let me ask you a question. Ready? Do you have a journalist degree?
No.
All right, Coach Scott, we need to find us a new co-host because he can't cover sports, right? He doesn't have a journalist degree. I got to fire him now. You can't be on the show anymore. Does it matter that you don't have a journalist degree?
No.
It doesn't matter that I wasn't a professional athlete either. It doesn't matter. So it goes both ways. But we don't hold that same energy with the players, though. That's the thing. We don't hold that energy with them.
Wait. Hold on. Explain what you're saying about not holding the same energy with the players. What don't we do with the players?
Meaning this, the players always say, you all didn't play in the league when they're talking to the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, the Skip Bayless. Jalen Rose even called Skip Bayless Water Pistol Pete. That's what he called him. You didn't play in the NBA. What he said, what was his varsity stats? He had, 3 points per game or something like that Jalen Rose was getting on Skip Bayless about? Come on now. Hey, listen, it is what it is. That's what he told Skip Bayless. I'm a person who believes Skip Bayless is very knowledgeable. I'm a person who believes that you got
the Dallas Cowboys.
He's been covering the game since the 70s.
Well, listen.
He's been covering professional sports since the 70s.
Skip Bayless.
You got to respect that.
He's knowledgeable. I definitely, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. The list goes on, right? They're very knowledgeable. But a lot of things that were stated from the players to analysts were actually kind of responses from things that were stated about them. And they're just simply saying, well, you never played in the league. How are you covering it? But then you have the analysts telling the players, I don't really understand what analysts like Ebertard when he's saying this. Like, how can players not cover? Like, what the question would be, and I'm kind of mixing myself up here because I'm trying to figure out why is it such a big issue. The question would be, what is it in journalism that the journalists feel the players do not have, which makes them unqualified to talk about a sport that they've been playing all of their life?
Because they haven't been in those locker rooms in this sense. Now, they've been in the locker rooms as players, but they haven't been in the locker rooms. I'm talking about in the old days where you had to go get that tape recorder out and you had to go talk to a Troy Aikman after a bad loss. And Troy Aikman can do two things. He can cuss you out, he can punch you, or let's say three things, or he can give you an interview that you want with a tape recorder in your hand and you asking questions to a quarterback.
But coach, listen, what if you in the locker room and you the reason Troy Aikman lost that game? Well, he can talk to you. He can punch you. You're stuck in there with him.
Right. It's different. It's different. It's very, very different to be in those locker rooms after a heated playoff game and you got to ask questions, difficult questions.
Well, what about being in the locker room and you drop the ball? You drop the game-winning touchdown, or that's. I see what I'm getting to is this. I don't think anyone should say anyone else is unqualified. I think the journalists, and I'm not, my point is not that the journalists shouldn't be covering, because I think we've all watched journalists cover. We've all respect what they do. I just don't agree when they say you shouldn't talk about it. Well, why not?
Right.
I played ball. Why can't I talk about ball? I coach ball. Why can't I talk about ball?
The athletes say the same thing, though.
But coach, that's what I'm saying. Exactly what I just said was, I don't think anybody should be telling anybody else what they can't talk about. Gilbert Arenas made that same statement. Oh, you guys don't even play ball. And I didn't agree with that when he stated it. I don't think just because you play in the league that you are the only one that can talk about it, because there are different aspects, there's different angles, there's different ways of looking at it. You have it from the fan's point of view. And the player's not going to necessarily look at it from the fan's point of view. The fan can't always see it from the player's point of view because you don't know the inside scoop. There are different angles. There are different formulas. There's different flavors is what I'm really trying to get to. No one should tell anyone they can't talk about something that they love. That's the part. I mean, that's my issue.
This is the thing that the journalists are mad about as well, because they feel like the athletes feel that their job is easy, that anybody can do it.
No,
yes, they do.
No, I think some journalists ask dumb questions. Let's just be candid and let's be honest. Some journalists ask dumb questions. You lose a game, the first question a guy asks you after a loss is, how did you feel after that loss? Instead of where do you go from here after this crushing loss? Right. That's a better question. I've been in those locker rooms. I've had to sit and indulge in these crazy conversations with people asking questions. How do you feel after the loss? I feel terrible. I don't feel happy about it. And these are the things that players are saying, hey, look, give me someone who understands what it feels like to lose a game 7, and then let them ask me, hey man, what is your game plan for tomorrow? What do you
right.
do? What does tomorrow look like?
Do you see those former athletes in those press conferences or in those locker rooms? No, you do not. No, you do not. You know why? Because they feel like they are above that. They feel like they're above that. That's why they're not there.
But no, I agree with both sides. Again, we got to move on to the next segment here in a second. I agree with both sides. I just want to say this, as I previously stated. You're right, Coach AO. You don't really see too many. I haven't seen too many in the locker room, but they come from a different angle. Draymond, who I'm probably not the biggest fan of, he has his show, but he comes from a different angle. Stephen A. Smith is going to come from a different angle. Skip Bayless is going to come from a different angle. Keyshawn Johnson is coming from a different angle. Michael Irvin, they're all coming from different angles. And when you look at now social media, which has basically given everyone a voice at this point, and you can find some good voices out there. You look at some of the fans who have created platforms and they're talking about sports. There are some good platforms out there.
Absolutely.
Who is anybody to go and tell that person, hey, you shut up. You're not qualified to talk about this. Makes no sense. He probably has more on the field or court experience than you. and you probably have more journalism experience than him. Why can't you both talk about it? That was my only problem with Dan Le Batard. But we got to move
I
on.
agree with that.
We
I'm
got
just
we
saying
got to move
nobody
on.
holds the
I got
athletes
you,
accountable.
Coach. We got to move on. Next topic. We're definitely gonna have to revisit that one. Dame Lillard, top 5. I'm not even gonna name the top 5. Only thing I got a question about is why do you leave off the Coach Scott? Why do you leave off the Greek Freak? That's your teammate. Is there? Milwaukee's had a little rough patch, as of late. Is there something going on? Is that how people do like little subtle things to send messages, like LeBron tweets out the hourglass, little stuff like that, right? It's very tedious, petty, and things of that nature. Dame Lillard, do you think he's shot, or what was that about? Because let's just be honest, most likely if you're with the player of a Greek Freak's caliber, or Giannis caliber, and they say, hey, well, who would your top 5 be? You're taking your teammate. You never heard Michael Jordan ever leave Scottie Pippen off of his top 5. Are there some other small forwards that probably could have played that position with Jordan? Yeah, of course. Sure. Definitely. But would he leave his teammate off, Scottie Pippen? No. Maybe after the No Bull tour, things might change. Who knows? But as of right now, we've never heard Mike leave Pippen off. Why do you think, Coach Scott, Dame left Giannis off of his top 5? Or his starting 5?
Well, I think that Dame is looking at it from how he plays the game, how he approaches the game, and how he attacks the game. And he's saying, it goes back to the conversation we had last week that you gave. Hey, look, all great players don't just play well together.
That's true.
Right?
Very
so true. Dame is looking at it like, hey, for my top 5, this is what it looks like. And here's why. Because of what I want to do, right? We all had similarities, but we didn't have the same top 5 because of how we approach the thinking of the game. It's certain things that we want to see on the court. There's certain times when I want to see that ball push. It's certain times when I want to play a half court game and I want to see something different. But it's Coach J.O. is clear. He wants to see slash, flash, and dash. You're clear. You want to see the greats be great, but you also you're not going to sacrifice too many greats on the same team at one time. So it's just the approach. And I don't think it was a slight to Giannis. I just think it was how Dame approaches the game.
I think Giannis, Coach J.O., to me, Giannis is such a mature player. Like, he puts his team first. He's going to hold his team down, right?
Yeah.
Even when that came out, I don't think he paid it too much attention. Maybe he did inside. I don't know. But from the outside perspective looking in, he didn't pay it too much attention. But as for somebody, let's say myself, I would have been like, that's your top 5. I'm not on your top 5, which means you're not confident in our union right now. I would, hey, Abaya, hey, this is my top 3. Coach J.O., Coach Scott, hey, I ain't taking nobody else. I got the 2 coaches over Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. Forget, this is my top 3. This is my To me, it kind of painted a picture that Dame might not be as confident in his cast right now. And when somebody asks him, hey, well, who would you take? Well, I'll take these guys. Without taking at least one of the guys you're with right now, Coach J.O.? You don't think that's a sign? A hint? A warning?
Speaking of journalism, right? Wouldn't a great question, a follow-up question would have been, why no Giannis? Wouldn't that have been a great question to add?
Well, the journalists, Coach J.O., they didn't ask it.
Okay. I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying.
I'm joking. I think they may have. They may have. I'm joking.
But I do think that Dame was kind of caught off guard. But he had to know that Giannis is recognized as the best player in the game, or arguably the best player in the game. You cannot leave him off, dude. He is your teammate, okay? You name Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Bam Adebayo. And as reported, Dame and Bam are ace boon coons, man. We all know that Dame initially wanted to be in Miami.
Right.
This is the problem. You got Miami and you got Milwaukee. Where would you all want to live at? I'm just asking. Okay. I'm just saying, you got Miami, you got Milwaukee. All right. So
Milwaukee.
I don't think that this is too far off that Dame kind of meant to leave Giannis off. Okay. I don't think it's too far off. He feels like Giannis wouldn't be his best starting five or one of the members of that starting five. Right. And I can give you a reason why. Over the last 5 years, Dame Lillard has been in the top 5 in pick and roll ball handlers. All right. He had the most possessions over the last 5 years. He's always in the top 5, top 10. Giannis, on the other hand, he's not even in the top 20 as a roll man, as a pick and roll roll man over the last 5 years. That tandem, what Dame does great, Giannis doesn't do. Okay. That tandem isn't working like that for the way that Dame plays. Not that Giannis isn't a great player, not that they can't get it together, but for what Dame does, Giannis doesn't do.
That's a great point. I mean, you also asked Milwaukee or Miami. Me, South Florida, born and raised, Milwaukee. I know what Miami has to offer. I'm getting out of South Florida. But no, that's a great point. Staying right here, in this segment, we're gonna stay right here. Now that we are seeing how Dame kind of feels, because I think it was I don't think it was an intentional message, but it did display maybe what he was thinking on the inside. Like I say, he probably caught off guard, but even still, that kind of told us a little bit of something. But on to Doc Rivers, who is now the head coach of that same Milwaukee Bucks team. He was a head coach in Orlando. We've seen him in Boston. He won a championship 2008 in Boston, the Clippers, all right, the 76ers, and now with Milwaukee. He's the 9th all-time winningest coach. Number 9, top 10, has a championship. But yet, Coach Scott is not looking real good in Milwaukee so far. Is there a reason for this? Like, Doc's a winner, but he's becoming that Cal Shanahan with the big ones, you know? Like, he's constantly not getting the job done. It's like there's a great regular season, right? We have high expectations for the playoffs, and then something happens. Now, again, he managed to get one in 2008, but after that, you know, it's just always something happens. Like, you know, maybe it was injuries, maybe it was something, but something is not getting him back over that hump. And this is what JJ Redick was attempting to criticize recently. Coach Scott, what are your thoughts on Doc Rivers? Is he the right man for the job in Milwaukee? Should they have fired their last coach?
Look, Doc has over 1,100 wins, but Doc is not the right man for the job. Doc should have stayed being an analyst. Let me tell you why. If you want to talk about underachieving, Coach J.O., we got a Doc Rivers that was 416 and 305, 73% win ratio in Boston for the C's, but he only has one championship. Inherited another program with the Clippers, 356 and 208, a 58% win ratio. With the team he had, he should have at least won one ship. For the 76ers, he's 154 and 82. 53% win ratio. Underachieved. Doc he casts more of a shadow than he actually knows at this point. And what he needs to do is allow the game to allow these players to not look at him as the great Doc Rivers that was the great coach that won in 2008, but they need to allow themselves to say that was the great Doc Rivers, the former player, former coach that has a championship from 2008, but now he's an analyst. That's just my opinion.
Your thoughts, Coach J.O.?
We all know that Doc was in the advisory role before he took this head coaching job. And according to Doc Rivers, when the Milwaukee Bucks came to him and asked him about coaching the team, he said, "Why are you doing this?" That's the same question we got, Doc. Why? Why did the Bucks do that? Why? Okay, listen, we all know that Doc won a championship in Boston. We all know that he took Boston to 2 championships, right? There's nothing to sneeze at. At one point, Doc was regarded as one of, if not the best coach in basketball. Okay? But that was yesteryear. That was yesteryear. Okay? Doc Rivers teams are 16-33 in the playoffs when the team has 3 wins in the series. Okay? That's underachieving, Doc. You got to get the job done. Doc is 6-10 in game 7s. 6-10 in game 7s. All right? Them almost some LeBron James stats, but let me not go there. All right, he's blown 3-3-1 leads. 3-3-1 leads. Okay? 4-3-2 leads. He lost game 7 at home 4 times. 4 times. Come on, Doc. We wondering the same thing. Why did the Bucks do that, man? Why did they? Now, would I say that Doc is a bad coach? No, he's not, right? But he's definitely not the right coach. He's definitely not the right coach right now. And I'm not just talking about for the Bucks. I'm talking about for any team. He's not. The game is past, Doc. He needs to go ahead and like you say, he was doing great being an analyst. Hey man, his son is an analyst. That's a good gig. You and your son doing your thing. No, Doc. We were wondering the same thing. Why did they do that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Apparently, hey, they thought they saw something. To fire your coach in your first, second place in the East, I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was just, I think they were just really looking at star management. How do you manage a Giannis and a Dame on the same team? In all previous experience, in every team that Doc has had, he's had great players that he's had to manage that talent, but he's also had to manage the egos of those great players. And I think that that's what they wanted in Milwaukee, as opposed to, quote unquote, getting the best coach or the right coach for that job. And I think they had the right coach, in my opinion.
I agree with that too, right? I agree that they did have the right coach. Now, can I say something to Doc's defense, right? The Milwaukee Bucks it's not a Doc Rivers problem, all right? They were having issues even with their last coach, right? Even I don't care what the record says.
Right.
One thing about Coach J.O., I don't care what level you play on, rec ball, middle school ball, high school ball, college ball, NBA. Defense and rebounding wins championships. I will ride that ship by myself, okay? Now, this season, the Bucks are 18th in field goal percentage, right? In the entire league. During their championship run, they were number 5 in defensive field goal percentage, all right? This season, they're number 11 in rebounding. During their championship run, they were the number 2 rebounding team in the NBA, okay? The players not getting it done. I'm going to always say this. You are what your best players are. Simple as that. You got rid of Drew Holiday for Dame Lillard. Your defense went down. Oh, okay. It's not rocket science. All right? Doc cannot fix that. The Bucks have a player's problem. Okay? I don't care what coach you bring in there. You got a player problem.
Can you not score enough?
Say it again.
I said, can you not score enough? I mean, you look at the seasons for this season alone. Giannis is 31, 11, and 6, shooting 62% from the field. You got Dame, 25, 4, and 7, shooting 42% from the field. Here are the others. These are the guys that are called the others on the team. Bobby Portis, 13, 7, and 1, 58 games played. Malik Beasley, 12, 4, and 1, 56 games played. Brook Lopez, 13, 5, and 2. 55 games played. Chris Middleton, 15, 4, and 5, 43 games in the books. Jay Crowder, 7, 4, and 2, 27 games in the book. And Pat Beverly, 6, 3, and 3 with 53 games played. I'm assuming they brought Pat Beverly in to play some defense, but how do you get these guys, the others? They're scoring points. How do you get these guys to play defense?
Again, like I say, this is a player's problem. Okay, I'm gonna go just a little bit deeper in your hustle stats. All right, during their finals run, the Bucks were number 1 in contested shots. They're number 6 now. They were number 2 in loose balls recovered. They're number 18 now. They were number 10 during their finals run in deflections. They're number 15 this season. They were number 27. They're number 27 in box outs this season. All right. They're not hustling. They're not doing what it takes to be a champion. Simple as that. They're not doing it anymore. They're not rebounding. They're not hustling. They're not playing defense. Okay. That's on Giannis. That's on Dame. Point blank, period.
So do you think that the Bucks just felt like, hey, let's get some big names. Let's get Dame. We got Giannis. We got a championship. It's just going to automatically happen. That's what it sounds like. Of course,
that's why they hired Doc. They had to find some type of scapegoat. Let's bring the name in. Maybe that'll change things. No, a coach cannot change effort. How do you coach that? What play do you have for effort? I'm not getting to the loose balls. I'm not contesting shots. What plays do you have for that?
Well, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be one of those cases that Doc gets to blame for this one as well, going to his resume, but we have reached the end of our show. Unfortunately for Doc, hey, listen, as you guys said, maybe he should have stayed an analyst because he's not fixing the problem there, but it is what it is. So listen, we have reached the end of our show, guys. Make sure you follow us. We're on YouTube. If you're watching the show, hit the subscribe button. Also hit that bell notification so that you can get all of the notifications when we go live. Follow us on all social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm missing something. Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I have never tweeted anything, but I finally got me a Twitter account. Somebody was trying to talk me into that. Guys, make sure you follow us. This myself, Coach J.O., Coach Scott, and we will see you guys next time. Welcome to The GOAT Debate, the premier online sports debate show where engaging discussions and thrilling debates unfold as we determine who is the greatest of all time in every sport. I am your host, Abaya Israel, joined by my 2 co-hosts, Coach Scott and Coach J.O. Tune into our YouTube and Facebook channels to catch our reactions and coverage of the biggest games and the latest news. Don't miss out on your chance to participate in the action. Join us every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for The GOAT Debate, where you, the viewer, can call in and share your thoughts on who deserves the title of the GOAT. Be sure to mark your calendars. Every Monday, we upload 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and we go live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe, call in, and participate. Come and be a part of the conversation.